Why do we keep chasing perfect lines? Why do we keep chasing the illusion of being perfect? Got some notes. I'm trying to be a bit professional. We have a mic this time. I just wanted to make this quick little video while this time lapse happens, talking about trying to make ugly art or make art even if it's ugly. The idea that you just need to get it out of your system and so you can start exploring other ideas. Like a painting only stands on its ideas. Some of my favorite paintings are just great ideas. Yeah, some of them they can be visually appealing, but it's all subjective, right? When it comes down to making art, personally, there's always been a struggle, at least from like personal experience as an artist growing up. It's always been this deep sense of like trying to make something perfect. You don't have to gun for a masterpiece or gun for rendering out this painting. It could just be a sketch. Sometimes great ideas are just a great sketch. Leave that, go and like move forward. It's almost like trying to work out a relationship when no, it was never meant to be. So you need to like let go of trying to make something out of it. Some ideas are just but ideas. Sometimes perfection is like the quickest way to sort of never start when you already have like a precedent to I need to hit this, right? And it's like we're never going to do that. Let's be honest. Like sometimes if you set out to be like, oh, I'm gonna paint like John Singer Sargent, you feel motivated, you feel like you can go, be the next John Singer Sargent, blah blah blah. And then you start painting, you open Photoshop or whatever, traditional canvas, right? And then it's like, oh snap, what am I doing here? And you kind of like get paralyzed because you're looking at John Singer Sargent, but you ain't looking at the journey, the trajectory of who you are. I think fundamentally sometimes we are so hyper fixated with trying to emulate our favorite artists, let it be like John Singer Sargent, Gustav Klimt, or like Alberto Mielgo, or whoever, right? And we are so focused in figuring out how they did it instead of figuring yourself out. Take a breather, forget about style, forget about all that other stuff. Just like breathe, look at all your lived experiences, right? And this kind of like correlates to like with making ugly and ugly being honest work. The most honest parts of our life are usually maybe the ugliest parts of our life. I want you to like sort of channel certain experiences that you had in the past or are going through or are in, and let's say it's ugly. I want you to like put it on paper. Because imagine this, you're already sort of constipated emotionally, and you still want to make something perfect out of it. But maybe your perfect is being ugly right now. So just be it. So just do that. Most paintings start ugly, even like this time lapse. Like, let me show the first image to the last one, like how it ended up being. It's like this huge, change, but it's like you still need to have a sense of fate. Painting is just super complex, it's super complicated. It ain't even like style, blah, blah, blah. But the feeling and the amount of faith that you need to sort of possess to be like, even while seeing this turd, you're like, you know what? This has a future and it's going to be perfect. Don't be controlled by the shackles of perfection. Just let go a little and explore ways in incorporating a bit of ugly into your art. Wasn't that the whole thing with Alberto wanting those face lines and like those doodle lines on the models when the execs didn't want that? So just imagine how that movie would have ended up, how Spider-Man would have looked without Alberto's input. But that's what it is. Like sometimes you need to have that like what people might consider ugly might not be ugly. It's just taste, and taste keeps evolving. People with Demna, oh, like some of these Balenciaga pieces are ugly, but like people said that about the Ralph Riot jacket. There's always this constant, pushing aesthetic, pushing taste culturally that we can explore as well. That kind of fits into the zeitgeist as well. Like sometimes ugly is good, and know that art doesn't owe you for it to be beautiful. Like art doesn't owe beauty. And art is but a extension of yourself or expression of yourself, but it doesn't owe you or it doesn't owe the viewer beauty. We have certain type of folks that enjoy commercial stuff in terms of movies, and we have a certain type of people that just love, high level cinema. And there's nothing wrong with each. One might find the other pompous, one might find the other uncultured, but it's still movies. The idea of what's ugly and what's not is so skewed. So don't be too trapped within your body. When you're trying to communicate as artists, as a storyteller. Let it be an environment. You think it's all the colors are too ugly, blah blah blah. That's where the gold, and that's the point. That's the resistance. Don't fight that. See, that's what it. You don't have to fight your own painting. That's a weird space to be. Whenever you open Photoshop, you're always in this hustle of fighting with the tool that's supposed to give you some sort of this therapeutic nature that art sort of, it's its second nature. We don't have to be hostile towards it. So if anything you're trying to leave with this video is just be a bit welcoming. Welcome ugly. See where that takes you. See where it leads you. Just be open to it instead of just being getting tensed up to the idea of putting something personal in, putting something that others might seem, you know, and never be in a space where you start questioning your sense of taste and your conviction. We can grow as individuals, we can grow as artists, and we can elevate our taste, but it's such a depressing state to be in that you're in a constant fight, this internal battle within yourself, talking about good enough and a good enough, blah, blah, blah. So I would be that difference, take that chance and just like be. And so just go make a painting, open Photoshop, open MS Paint, take your sketchbook out, do whatever, but just channel ugly. Try to make something ugly. And if it's difficult, understand why it doesn't seem to be difficult, and hope this sort of challenge leads to new opportunities in terms of image making. Because I still feel like the current art landscape is quite saturated with a bunch of art, with a bunch of great art, but there's something new, and it's in the ether, and we should pull it out. There's always a new idea. Of course, there's certain patterns, and people. Not everything is original. Blah blah blah. I get that, but we never had a Spider Verse. We never had a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle like the new one with Seth Rogen and them, right? In that particular style, and it's what's wonderful. And I feel like we still need to be alive, a bit more optimistic. At least for me, art's been a space of rest, and it's never been a space of anxiety. And now more than ever, talking to a bunch of artists personally, they always are, on their toes. It sucks, but I still want artists to know that, you're seen. You're seen, you're heard. I want this space, I want this channel to be about other artists. There's a lot happening right now, and like, trust me on this. Don't be shackled to the chains of perfection. It's not a good look. It never will be. So try to challenge yourself to make something ugly. Go do it. Go do it. And I bet you'll feel better. The way you look at art might change. Even if, let's say, you end up not liking it, you still made something. That's a win-win situation, because at the end of the day, art is just about repetition. Trying to get better at something, just not repeat it. And I hope y'all find this video helpful, and catch y'all on the next one.